Like, what are we doing?
Corey Graves, the ignorant slut, cannot pronounce the word coup de grace. He says coup de grace.
Welcome back to This Is A Takeover. My name is David Hensley. I'm the owner and creative director of Long Walk Productions, and I am here to introduce your host, Shelby Death Ray Patterson.
Thank you, David, and welcome to This Is A Takeover. I'm Shelby Ray Patterson.
And I'm Gina Belmont.
And no, guys, you didn't click on the wrong episode.
Nope.
No, your wrestling babes are reviewing Hell in a Cell.
Woo!
So, but before we get into all that, how are you doing, Gina?
You know, very nice, very congested.
No, you have to say it like.
Hang on, let me see if I get it.
Yeah.
Because, okay, listeners, I was very, very sick this weekend.
Yeah, we didn't.
Very nasty viral infection.
We honestly didn't know if this was going to happen
know.
until
Thank
about
goodness for modern medicine.
Allegra D, man.
Allegra D. This is a sponsored episode, but no, it's not.
We wish.
We wish. No, but yeah, the other night when we were watching this, I literally,
Very nice, very evil.
you know, like I sounded like Danhausen, so I made the joke, and then I was going to do this. But now I actually sound normal, so very nice, very congested. That's as close as I can get.
I mean that's pretty close.
Yeah. I did the
You did
I
do
did the hand
fingers.
thing.
So some of you guys may be wondering why the This Is A Takeover babes are reviewing
Yeah,
Hell
what are
in
we
a
doing
Cell.
here? What's up?
So Doggz and his infinite wisdom has decided that we are going to be reviewing the non-Big Four WWE pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And so basically we're trying to restructure because, I mean, I've been open about how, like, the state of our show.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, figure out with that. So,
Right. Well, and they've decided to take what we traditionally would call takeovers away.
And just-
so, like, just for everyone's perspective, In Your House was last week, and neither one of us knew about it.
we had no clue.
Like, I am still running the This Is A Takeover Instagram, and I'm still, you
Yeah.
know, in the loop of, like, what's going on with the show, even though we don't watch every week.
Yeah, and we're surrounded by people who still, know and
Oh, absolutely.
and we know, but apparently we don't because it wasn't advertised
It wasn't promoted
at all.
as hardly as much as they used to be. And this was even on a Saturday, like on Peacock.
Yeah.
So it was what a traditional takeover would have looked like. So since they are starting to move away from the traditional takeovers, what we have decided to do is try to branch out, right? So Doggz and I were talking, and he was like, well, let's just spread the wealth, right? Because they have so much to cover.
They do.
With WWE having a pay-per-view monthly, and now AEW kind of amping up their
Yes.
stuff because they're even doing specialty episodes
They
now.
are, that's right.
So he was like, well, why don't Chris and I do the Big Four of WWE pay-per-views and AEW, and why don't you and Gina do the rest?
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
So we are actually going to review Hell in a Cell 2022.
Yay!
And I'm actually really excited about this because Doggz and Chris, I feel like over the past, we'll just say the COVID era.
Yes,
of-
that's a fair assessment.
Or pandemic era, or whatever you want to call it. They have not been very, what's the word?
Happy?
Very happy, yeah, with the product, I guess. I was trying to think of something more complicated than happy, but yeah, you're right. It's just happy. They haven't been very pleased with the product.
Or enthused.
And it kind of shows a little bit. And so we were all watching this together.
Yeah.
And like after the first match, I was like, are you guys like mad that you're not going to review this now? Because it was actually a pretty good
And
pay-per-view.
Dogg's eyebrows just went straight down. Just like, yes, I am upset, Shelby.
I mean, it was good.
Like, I mean, immediately all of us sat there and were like, oh man, is this going to happen?
I mean, to me,
Is this good?
It was like it was the best Hell in a Cell that we've had in a while.
I mean, truthfully, I'll boldly say since the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And the Hell in a Cell referring to the Fiend and Seth Rollins match.
Yeah,
Because we don't want to talk about that.
we don't speak about that.
That was oof.
Well, we may on a future episode
really?
of another show, but we haven't released that yet, or I don't know when we release shit.
We all look at David. Yeah.
Next week.
Next week, perfect. So that's a teaser for listen for next week for This Is a Rewind. So before we get started,
I was just going to ask if we could segue that because I was going to ask you, Shelby Ray Patterson, what are you drinking?
I am embracing my inner white woman because
really?
it is summer. It's summer here for us. I'm drinking a Dark Horse rosé.
You didn't tell me it was Dark Horse.
Yeah, girl,
I
Dark
should have
Horse.
known it was Dark Horse.
It's good. It's
yeah.
good. So, let's just jump right into it.
That sounds fair.
So I feel like this was a very interesting, we'll say premium live event, right? Because that's what they're called now. This was a very interesting show because we had no Roman. No Roman Reigns on this show.
Noman.
And No, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at that.
That was funny.
No,
You
it was
know
terrible.
it.
It was terrible. I'm
You
not
can't look at me right now.
No, I'm not. Yes, there was Noman. I mean, I feel like, and I'll get into this later in the episode, I really feel like the show benefited from not having him on the card.
The pace alone was astronomically
It was great
different.
because you got to see so much more
Yes.
of what they have to offer. Because despite all of the cuts that they've done over the past 2.5 years,
Lord have mercy.
they still have a really good roster.
Yes.
And I really feel like they were able to showcase that when you don't have just one figure like sucking all of the air out of the pay-per-view.
Yes.
Right? So we had our first match, which after the first match, I was like, okay, this is how we're starting it. Like, we're starting at a 10.
We all said that it should not have been the opening match.
No, not at all.
I mean, in normal card sense, that would have been like what, like fourth?
Well, yeah.
Like,
so
not full last, but like at least like closer to the end of the whole pay-per-view.
Semi-main.
Semi-main, thank you.
Yeah. And so our first match was the triple threat for the Raw Women's Championship. So it was big time Becky Lynch versus Asuka versus Bianca Belair, who's the champion.
I'm so excited. I finally get to talk about Bianca Belair. I've been so excited because literally when we started this, she left.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you, babe. You're
Yeah.
the best.
And I mean, I'm happy that you're getting to cover Bianca, but I'm also so happy that Asuka's back.
Man.
Like that.
You don't know how good she is. Like, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
But then she comes back and it's like, damn. Like, damn.
I mean, she was gone for a long ass time. I think we were trying to figure it out the night of.
Yeah, it was not a full year and a half.
I don't know. I mean, I know.
Someone will fact check us, I'm
All
sure.
I remember was the last thing I remember from her is her getting her teeth knocked out by Shayna Baszler. And we really have barely seen Shayna Baszler since then.
Yeah.
And but she also had an arm injury. So I think
Was it from punching Asuka's teeth?
I don't know. No. It wasn't. Shayna had an arm injury. Asuka had an arm injury.
Oh.
On top of getting her teeth knocked out.
Sorry, I thought you were saying Shayna had the.
No.
My bad.
So when you have someone who's gone for so long, you forget about them.
Yeah.
Right? And then when they return, it's just, you just remember it, like gets flooded back into your brain, like how great they actually are.
Well, that, and on top of that, a lot of wrestlers, like when they go on those breaks, there's a little bit of ring rust. Asuka never has ring rust.
No, because she stays away long enough to fully heal.
Yes.
And I think that's
like
the
a
difference.
normal thing you should do.
Yeah.
All you wrestlers better be listening to this.
But I feel like in this instance, like we're talking about Roman,
Yes.
like with him having a more limited schedule, I think it's going to work wonders to his critics.
Yes.
Right? Like people like in our camp who aren't really the biggest Roman Reigns fans, if he stays away and then when he comes back, we're like, oh yeah, like he is good.
Yeah.
Right? It's the whole absence makes the heart grow fonder shit, right? Like it actually does make sense. And I mean, these three are just the best women's wrestlers.
I mean,
in
truthfully.
the entire sport of wrestling, right? So it's not going to be a bad match at all, but I didn't expect it to be like match of the night contender.
This match, like, I'm trying to find the right words without just repeating like damn or awesome, but they feed off of each other so well. Their techniques are breathtaking when all applied together. Like they all are individual, but they all are being able to use their character and their moves to work and bounce off of each other, and they're able to communicate so well. Normally Becky is very, very obvious with how she connects and talks to other people in the ring.
Yes.
But I didn't once see her like open her mouth. Maybe Matthew will find something, but open her mouth and be like, hey, come to the corner or something like that, you know? Like they really they flowed and meshed so well. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous.
It was really fun. I mean, definitely go back and watch this one, guys, because we're not going to go through spot by spot with
We
this.
can't. It would take the whole time.
But I mean, there were so many like double submissions or double covers, which I
Yes.
love in a triple threat because,
It's like, who's it going to be?
right, like if either one, like both of them have to kick out of a double cover, right? Because if only one kicks out, then they still technically pin the other one.
And I asked that.
Yes.
And I said that. I was like, oh, because that would be a really fun angle. Like, that was like one of the first times I've watched a match with WWE in a while where I sat there and was like, I'm like coming up with like, oh, but then they could do this angle. And oh, they could do this angle. And like, oh, like no matter what, it was really fun to watch.
And honestly, I mean, with the way that they have the story going, like the way that this ended,
No one can lose.
made sense, right? Because
Yes.
like, so Bianca goes over and retains. Yes, Gina was very happy about that.
EST.
But I think, so the finish itself was Becky hits the manhandle slam on Asuka, which was what she hit on Bianca to beat her at SummerSlam. Was it in 26 seconds or something? I know, I always like to say that because it really makes her angry because I was really excited about Becky coming back because I love Becky and she was mad. So we had very differing opinions that night,
It was horseshit.
which doesn't really happen,
I
which
was
is great.
so fine until it was 26 seconds.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't want to. No, I'm
But
not
so
gonna
she
make it.
does the manhandle slam on Asuka and goes to pin her. But Bianca slides in from out of the ring,
Ayo.
pulls Becky off of Asuka, and just chucks her out of the ring.
There was a
and
lot of
pins
that.
her. No,
Becky threw everyone out of the ring at least 30 times.
well, I think that's a heel tactic.
oh, absolutely.
Right?
It's just like,
Because-
I don't have to deal with you. I throw you.
Right, she's like, I don't want to use or expend any of my energy on you, so
You're
I'm
not
just,
worth it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna literally toss you out. But
Yeah.
they tossed Asuka out a lot,
So much.
which I think it was fitting for her to take the pin. Like it made the most sense.
Yes.
because you have Bianca and Becky who are going to continue this feud.
Oh, for forever.
Because now Bianca has, in Becky's eyes, quote unquote, stolen
Yes.
the title again from her. Because Becky essentially hadn't won until Bianca came in, threw her out, and Bianca just covered Asuka without doing any moves.
Nothing.
Which
Arm over. That was it.
I thought it was hilarious.
That's all you need, man.
So she retains, and I think there's definitely going to be more to this story, but I will be excited to see where Asuka ends up going because they're not really pushing a lot of people or a lot of women in their division right now.
It's fair.
Like they're either putting them in factions or they're putting them in tag teams that eventually break up.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not really going, except for Becky and Bianca and I guess Charlotte and Ronda on SmackDown. Like they're really not pushing anyone else in that division. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that she doesn't just kind of go by the wayside.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, I gave this a 4.5.
I was hoping you would give it because I was like,
Yeah.
I would settle for a 4, but it doesn't deserve a 4.
No, it was beautiful. Like there were a few spots that made it not perfect, but
There's only one where it was like,
yeah, you could tell it was a little
But then immediately they went right back into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, like,
4.5 Regals.
great way to start your show. 4.5 Regals.
Yay.
And then we go into the next match. Which Doggz is going to hate me for this because I didn't really enjoy this one. And so we have Bobby Lashley versus Almost and MVP. It was a 2-on-1 handicap match. I can't get into Almost. I just can't. Like, I don't like the big scary monsters that all you do is like 3 moves and then you don't speak.
The thing is that he's supposed to be scary, but there's just something about him when I look at him, I'm like, I want to hug you. You're not scary. And maybe that's just me. But
maybe. I mean, he
has a deep voice, so yes, or at least he puts on a deep voice. But I don't know. We did spend most of the start of this match when they were all entering trying to decide who had real eyebrows and who did not.
Which, honestly, that's kind of how we go with Bobby Lashley matches lately.
That's one of my favorite memories with you. It's the day that we realized that they were drawn on and they were coming off of his face because they were like sweated off.
Listeners, we're not making fun of him because Bobby Lashley does have alopecia.
Yes. Now,
right?
to be fair, we didn't know that.
We didn't at the time. But
that was not announced.
He does not have eyebrows, so like a lot of people with alopecia, he has them either tattooed or drawn on, and I think he has them drawn on because the poor thing sweats really bad.
Yes.
And it just runs all down his face. And Gina and I did not know at the time.
No, this was right when he had.
alopecia.
This was when he literally first walked on the scene.
We did well. I mean, in our eyes, he's been He has
gotten
been
his
before
first big push.
Since coming back.
Yeah. Yes.
So just so everyone's clear, we weren't making fun of him
we didn't
because
know.
he had alopecia.
No.
This was before we knew that, and afterwards we did feel bad about it.
Yes. Yes.
But I will say Almost has gotten better.
Yes.
But
MVP just needs to go.
MVP
needs to go.
I don't like MVP.
MVP is great on the mic, and that's it.
Well, he
also,
needs to be with Almost, and he honestly still needs to be with Lashley because when Lashley was with the Hurt Business,
yes,
it was the best that he has done in a very, very long time, right? And I think it's because he needs a mouthpiece, and they're trying to get him to be better on the mic.
He had a little moment at the end of the match, which I can see there was improvement.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it anything above a C-.
This match had good spots to it, but to me it was just kind of difficult because when you have such high energy after the triple threat women's match, any match that's going to go on after that is going to suffer. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be another title match. It could be the Hell in a Cell match. Like, it's just when you have a match that's so high energy, the next one underneath, or, the next one after it is just, it's going to feel like you're swimming through pudding, right? Like, and that's what this one felt like. And it was a 2-on-1 handicap match, which I don't really like those anyway, because you kind of already know what's going to happen. Like, the person that is the one in the 2-on-1 most of the time goes over, especially if it's a pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, they're not going to have, like, the one in the 2-on-1 is always the babyface.
Yeah.
Right? The heels are always the one that gang up on the babyface. So, they're not going to have, like, 2 heels just beat the babyface, like, senseless on a pay-per-view. Yeah. Right? So, I don't know. I kind of already knew, like, what the outcome was going to be on this. I didn't factor in Cedric Alexander, though.
And I was going to say, the entire time during this match, I just kept being like, Cedric Alexander can do better than this.
Well, this is all they're subjecting him to, I feel like.
And I don't know why. He can literally work with anyone. He can do anything.
Well, and I feel like after the Hurt Business split, they just didn't know what to do with him, because of the whole 205 Live of it all.
Yes.
Right? Because he was on 205 Live and he was running that show.
Yes.
Right? And then the cruiserweight division just disappeared.
Yeah.
Right? And dissolved completely. And now 205 Live still exists, but they don't have cruiserweights on the show.
Yeah.
Right? So really, it's
Which
kind
was
of
literally what 205
kind of a
was, but
pointless
that's-
show now.
Yeah.
But so Cedric comes out and distracts Omos, right? And he does this kind of weird, like he's on the top rope in the corner and you don't really see him.
Yeah.
You can hear the crowd reacting like someone has come down.
Yeah, we all watched everyone turn their heads to be like, oh man.
But the camera didn't really cut to him
No.
in time. So he distracts Omos by like, you know, jumping down. Like it was a move that I think almost was supposed to have already turned around and was
I don't
supposed to
think he-
catch him.
And I don't think he'd turn in time.
Right. So Cedric had already landed by the time almost went for the choke slam.
Yes.
And he didn't even do a choke slam. He just kind of grabbed him by the neck and then pushed him to the rope and pushed him over and had to push him over a couple of times. to get
Yeah,
him-
over the top rope.
Right.
Like,
Someone-
couldn't even get him through, like, over the top rope.
Someone who's a cruiserweight. Right. So that's the type of stuff that it kind of bothers me that you're going to push someone
Yeah.
with that skill level because of the size.
It's funny because a while back, like, we used to talk, like, about Bobby like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And now it's like,
well,
Bobby has more
Bobby's not in that
experience,
category
yeah.
anymore.
No.
And
It's just funny, you know?
I mean, I gave this one a 3.5 because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't
I would have done 3 like passing grade.
right. Like it wasn't up there
Nah.
to me.
I mean, I don't think there would have been a match to put after. Like, that was not going to get a 3.
right.
Like, that just wasn't going to happen.
And this also was kind of strange to me after Bobby wins because he almost gets distracted and then he turns around and is like, "Oh, where'd he go?" And then he spears him, right? And then
Not a good spear.
no, and a spear is supposed to take down a 7-foot giant.
I'm imagining,
You
like,
know-
if you did it on his leg, behind his knees.
Sure, you
And
chop
then he's
him
like,
down
"Oh, and he
first,
falls."
and
Yeah.
then you do the spear. But just a spear from, I mean, Bobby's a big man. Don't get me wrong. But
The Almighty.
next to Omos, he looked tiny.
He looked like a normal human.
It was weird.
was
It was
freaky.
really weird. Like
Yeah.
he kind of looked like a child standing next to his dad. Like it was really
It's like us going to see, you know, like someone like Braun Strowman or, well, that's not his name anymore, but, you know, like, I mean,
Yeah.
the size difference of just like, oh my gosh, but that's
Yeah.
what he was doing next to Omos.
But after he won, Bobby went out around and to the crowd to some rando fan.
That was so weird.
Took their WWE replica title and just held it up and started walking around
and
ringside
kissed
with it.
He was kissing all over it.
And then I think he gave it back to a different fan.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
So it was very clear that this person was a plant, right? Because when I went back and watched it
Mm-hmm.
later, you can kind of see the ref like yelling up at Bobby, being like, "He's over here!" Like it's very clear.
Oh, that's
like the
weird.
camera again didn't cut in time, and you could see the ref clearly like yelling at him, going like cupping his mouth, like yeah.
What? Why?
I don't know. I think
worth a plant.
I mean, to me, it is like, oh, he's going to challenge Roman, is what that says to me. Like, he takes the title, holds it up. I mean, that's what it looks like to me, but we've already seen that.
Yeah.
But we've also seen him go against everyone at this point, so
Yeah.
why not just recycle?
Because they don't keep anyone on the roster anymore, but that's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one was fine, but definitely not on caliber with, like, some of the other ones that we saw.
Oh, no.
So...
What's next?
Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel. Now, I'm telling you, Kevin Owens,
You love that man.
I do.
You love that man.
I have loved that man since his PWG days, okay?
Oh, man.
Like his Mount Rushmore days.
Oh, my goodness.
And he's literally the only person that would be able to pull this storyline off because this storyline is ridiculous.
It's so dumb.
So, for listeners who don't know, basically Kevin Owens has been in this feud with this man who they call Ezekiel. Ezekiel, now some people may dispute this.
What?
Some people say that Ezekiel is Elias. I know.
No.
And Kevin Owens is one of these people, right? but he's their spokesperson. Okay. So basically, Elias went away, right? They did this whole thing where they did a vignette where they showed him throwing his guitar into the fire, which, like, first off, no. Don't do that. Guitars are expensive.
Yeah. Even your cheap one is expensive.
Just donate it. Like, if you don't want it anymore, just donate it. Like,
Don't be an asshole.
don't use it as firewood. It's really expensive firewood. So, Elias is dead, essentially, right? So we don't see him for months. And then all of a sudden, this baby face of a man
No beard.
comes out and says
back.
that he's, you don't know where my thought is on this. I'm going to keep it to myself. So he comes out and confronts Kevin Owens. And then Kevin's just standing in the middle of the ring and is just like squinting at him and says, Elias? He's like, no. Elias is my older brother. I'm his younger brother, Ezekiel. And just completely straight face. This man Elias had a beard, long hair, very kind of like hipster rock star kind of a vibe to him.
Bandanas all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scarves and
Skinny
all that shit. Yeah. And
jeggings.
This man is completely shaven, has like a bob haircut.
Oh, gosh, it's
and
awful.
dresses like the ultimate warrior.
Yeah, it
Right?
is something.
Because he has like the armbands with the tassels and the trunks that look like him. Like
and the bright colors. And,
yeah. And so he's just like, so him and Kevin Owens go back and forth for probably about a month or so now.
I mean,
And-
there's a lie detector involved, and
Yes.
it's a whole
And
thing.
Kevin Owens is basically like slowly going insane because
he plays that well.
He does.
He
And that's
plays that
my
well.
point. That's my point with all of this. Like, I feel like this match could have been if you had any other person that was asked to do this.
Yeah.
This match would have been easily the popcorn match.
Yes.
And it would be silly. It would just be a silly feud continuer or whatever you want to call it. But this match was such a good balance between the silly conspiracy theory shit and just good wrestling, because people forgot Elias was really good.
Because
Right?
they never let him do
Right, like,
anything,
he
or
ha-
he was always squashed.
Exactly. And his whole thing was that no one would ever let him finish his song or even start his song, right? People would interrupt him all the time.
Aw.
But when he was in NXT, like, he really wrestled.
Yeah.
And he was really, really good. And I'm happy that we get to see the actual wrestler side of this man versus just the performer, because it was a good character, right?
Yeah.
But I think it had definitely run its course.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I don't know how long this is going to last. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to outstay its welcome, soon enough.
I feel
right?
like somehow they're going to try to throw Sammy into it. Don't know how, but
with the whole conspiracy theory thing.
they automatically assume, therefore Sammy will be involved.
But see, Sammy is like low key with the bloodline now.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know. We'll
That's
see.
weird.
Maybe down the road,
Yeah.
they can incorporate him, because Sammy kind of seems to be that person who can hop between
Anything.
feuds and
Yeah.
it'd be fine. But I did want to point out there were these dueling chants that the crowd, which this did not sound piped in
No.
at all. Like, there was definitely some
We are
moments-
experts on knowing if it is piped in or not.
This seemed very genuine. So we had half the crowd going, "We want Elias," and the other half saying, "No, we don't." Ooh. And so I think it was like, I don't know, that's just fun shit to me, right? Like, you have the audience like completely continuing this narrative of this man, is he Elias or is he Ezekiel, or does it even really matter? Like, I think it's fun, and I mean, the finish, this match was not very long.
No. It was
At
just the
all.
right amount of time, though.
That's what I mean. Like, it didn't need to be
No.
a barn burner of a match. It just
Not
needed,
at all.
It needed to either end the feud or continue the feud. And honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea where they're going to go.
I feel like that's okay, though.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
So the finish on this was Kevin does a cannonball into the corner and then a stunner and he wins like super easy. And then he basically is just like, I told you he was Elias, and was all this stuff, and Ezekiel kind of just rolls out of the ring. It's just like, why is he so mean to me? Like, I don't have feelings. I'm new. I don't know why he's mean. Like. So I'd be interested to see.
That would be the biggest plot twist if like they actually are if they somehow get like an honest to God lookalike to go in there and like be like, no, I'm Elias or something like that, and then watch Kevin Owens' brain just explode all over the ring.
I could see that happening.
I feel like they have enough time and energy to find something like that for something as pointless as this.
I mean, I gave this a 3.5. Like, I felt like I couldn't really go higher, even though I did enjoy it, just because it wasn't long enough.
Yeah,
and it didn't really further the story. Didn't really end it.
Middle of the road.
Yeah, so it was still good.
Yes.
But yeah, 3.5.
It was enjoyable.
So we're moving on. We're moving right along.
We're moving right along.
So our next match is the 6-person mixed tag team match.
Oh, buddy.
So we have, I did not make these names up. This is the names that they're going by, okay? You have Judgment Day.
Best name ever.
It is pretty great.
It's so good.
That's Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley versus the Bull Liv Club. Get it? Like it's Bullet and there's Liv Morgan also. That's what they came up with. I did not come up with that.
See, I thought that one of our friends in the group was just being facetious. And
no, that's what they're going with.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. So, I mean, I think this is perfect for Rhea and Damian.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
I think they were both just kind of floundering, and they were doing well. Like, obviously, Rhea and him had both won titles at this point, but I think they now don't have the titles, and they don't really know what to do with them, which I feel like is kind of a theme in WWE nowadays. Like, if you don't have a title, they just don't know what to do with you.
They don't ever find a long-term solution to anything. They find short-term solutions for every single problem.
Yeah.
And it's annoying at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like if you're paid that much, you should be able to have a long-term solution and a long-term storyline to go with every character and every person that's back there.
Yeah. No,
if they're paid that much, it's like, that's stupid. I mean, I'm grateful for like some of the little like patches that they put on and the band-aids that they put on. Like, this is a good band-aid that they put on. I hope that it's not like ripped off very quickly, because I really like Judgment Day.
I do too.
I really do.
I do too. And
that name, that's a good name. I'm going to give it to creative there. That's a good name.
Yeah, and I feel it plays to all of their strengths, because I feel like Damian and Rhea both kind of have that look. That
fun grunge NXT look. That we can mess you up and look really cool doing it.
I mean, they come out and they're all coordinated, and just like even Rhea's gear, which we found out later was not
funny.
Her actual gear.
No, it turns out that once again, poor girl had some more gear issues and it didn't arrive in time, so she made do with what she had, and she still looked like a badass bitch.
It literally looked like someone from costuming backstage or wardrobe or whatever they have back there. She just runs in and is like, I don't have a top. I need a top. Just give me something that's purple. And they gave her this like one shoulder.
It looks like a swimsuit,
kinda,
like bodysuit thing.
But like having that over what she originally had, like it looked sick.
Yeah, it did look sick.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it had like the cutout on the side, so like half of her stomach was showing. And then,
it was great.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And I mean, sometimes I'm not a fan of the mix tag, because I mean,
depending who can make a big difference.
Oh, exactly. And I feel like with this one, it worked, because Liv and Rhea worked very well together.
It's nice to see Liv be able to work.
She's so good.
She is.
She's so good. And she was really great in this. Like, there was one move.
Oh, she did the Hurricane Rana that was gorgeous.
So it was a launched Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
So basically Finn has her in the corner and like whiplashes her onto AJ, who then just like pushes her over his head, and she lands perfectly right on Rhea's shoulders and does a Hurricane Rana.
It was gorgeous.
That was the first move of the match.
I know, and that's when all of us were like, whoa! no.
Yeah. No, it was really fun. And I loved seeing Finn and Damian go at it again because their whole back and forth feud in NXT was just
awesome.
mwah, like
Chef's kiss.
so good. And they
Delicious.
had most of the moves in the match.
I mean,
Because
they did, and it was great.
You had, AJ.
I enjoyed not seeing AJ as much.
I know we joke about saying we don't want none all the time because his theme is
We don't want none.
But he's really good. He's always been really good, and I'm glad that they're kind of pulling away from him and not having him be so forward in all of the
Let
matches.
some others step up.
Yeah, because you had Edge and AJ who were kind of like, at each other. And then you had Finn and Damian. And then obviously Liv and Rhea. And the reason why I don't really like mixed tag sometimes, because they used to have a whole division and it was a whole separate show that you could watch on like Facebook Watch.
What?
When that was a thing.
Whoa.
And it was a whole different show, and you had like Alexa and Braun as a team, and then
There it is. Okay, my brain's catching back up now.
Yeah,
there it is.
yeah.
That was fun because everyone was shipping them so bad.
Exactly.
Yes.
But it was fun because they actually had did research behind it and put teams together that made sense, and
That could work together.
and they worked long term together. But in these random mixed tag matches that they just throw together sometimes, it doesn't really work because they just put two women together just for the sake of having two women on the team.
Yep.
And so basically the rules of the mixed tag is the women only fight the women and the men only fight the men. And they can't even interact with each other. They can't even touch each other during the match.
Finn looked like he was about to beat the tar out of Rhea though,
I
in
know,
that one
but-
corner spot, and it looked nice, but I was
that's
like,
the part that messes me up with
but
it.
why don't you?
Why don't you just kick her?
What's gonna
happen? The women do it to
Actually,
the
she
men
beat
all
the
the
shit
time.
out of him, but yeah.
But they do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They let the women hit the men all the time.
It's like, oh, what are you gonna do? And then it's like, oh, well, I'm a man, I can't hit back.
Right.
Double standards.
Thank
Yeah.
you. From a female fighter, I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why you can't do that. If it is one-sided like that, why can't it go both ways? Because you had a spot where Finn was standing on the top rope, ready to do the coup de grace, and then all of a sudden, Rhea's just standing in front of him.
Don't you
sorry,
dare!
the
I
what?
didn't. I saw you adjust. I was like, don't you dare! Don't you fucking dare!
See, this is why we have producer David, listeners. He just, we got to have someone who's just going to roll in and just
Interjection.
completely stop the flow by messing with me. It's fine. It's fine.
Where were we?
So you have Finn on the top
Don't
rope,
you fucking dare!
Good at grass.
which I found out that actually wasn't OG Ignorant Slut that said that.
I have to change my ignorant slut now.
It was Jimmy Smits.
No.
Jimmy Smits said it. Because I went back and watched it, and it was definitely him who said it. He can still be your ignorant slut.
I mean, you know what? I got to think about it now.
So, anyway, I'm going to actually get this point out.
Yes, go.
So, Finn is on the top rope, ready to do his finisher, and Rhea just steps in front of him, in between him and Edge. And I get the moment, right? She's supposed to be a disciple of Edge, and she's trying to protect him. But why doesn't he just jump over her? Or
Because she's very tall.
or just kick her, right? Just
and I kick her, sir.
right? And then there was another spot where it was the same thing, but she was outside the ring,
Yeah.
and he just stared at her. And then she hits the rope, and he does the whole oh my nuts, which is also a spot that was done a lot during this pay-per-view. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did, and
There was a couple of matches where I was like, okay, so we're doing the top rope nut spot again.
it's like, oh, we should have tallied. We should have tally counted.
Yeah, tally counted. So in that situation, why wouldn't you just jump into the ring? Why would you just stare at her and then wait for her to kick the rope and then have you?
Because I'm a man.
Right. But no, you could just, okay.
Yep.
I'm way overthinking this right now, but
There's so many other options.
I know there's so many other things you could do.
And
right?
he totally would have if it wasn't for creative.
Right. Just jump into the ring.
Yeah.
You don't have to hit her, you could just jump away.
Oh, and then they could have had a moment where he jumped down and just walked up to her, and then they just stared at each other.
Sure.
Still effective.
That's fine.
But, I mean, I feel like he definitely could have. And I bet he would have.
I mean, anyway,
Yes.
It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I think little things like that just kind of bother me.
I mean, that's fair.
Because it doesn't.
Well, I mean,
it
'cause we
works,
know both of them.
Well, it works in other promotions.
Yes.
Right? Like it has worked in NXT.
Yes.
Like Candice and Johnny have done a bunch of stuff
so
where they've
good.
worked together. And Candice did a spot with the former Bronson Reed where she jumped on his back from top of a ladder and jumps with him
That was so
down to
cool.
the mat. Like, it can happen. So when stuff like that happens, it's just kind of like, all these people can really
You know who
do
it is
more.
we need to blame.
I mean, we do, but we don't have to say his name.
I don't want to, but we just know collectively who it is.
But I think like Liv did some really good stuff. Like she had this really good rolling crucifix spot with Rhea that was really good.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Like it just, I feel like this match was really, really fun.
A surprise.
Yeah.
But not because we knew that they weren't going to work well together, but just because it was like, oh, like this is one time where they random like roll of dice of people worked, and made a cohesive unit.
And they've been building this a little bit.
Just, yeah, a little.
But I mean, basically they made it where Rhea and Liv broke up as a tag team. And then somehow Liv went with Bullet Club and Rhea went with Judgment Day, you know? So,
But there were some new developments.
yes, I was going to get to that. I was going to get to the finish.
Oh, the finisher,
first.
sorry. Yes.
So Finn goes to hit the coup de grace. Rhea stands in the way, right? And then Liv kind of spider monkeys on her back, and then they kind of brawl out to the outside.
Hang on you like a spider monkey.
And then Finn is like, ooh, there's two women who are fighting over here. I'm going to look over here and not look at this person over here.
Uh-oh.
And then he just jumps and misses, and Edge does a spear, and Finn takes the pin. Which I was initially mad about because I'm like, please don't do my husband like this. But on Monday, on the following Raw, Judgment Day comes out basically to gloat in their victory, right? And they're like, we are accepting new members, right? And anyone in the back can come and be a part of Judgment Day and blah, 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 blah. Darkness and shit, like I don't know.
Darkness.
You could tell I'm very goth, right?
Darkness.
Darkness and shit. And Finn's music hits, and they're kind of like surprised, but then they're like, okay. I mean, demon and stuff like that can work. But then Damien is talking, and then he's like, yeah, we all need to, rise up and stand up against, blah, blah, blah. And then they all turn and look at Edge. He goes, even you. And Edge is like, wait, what?
What's happening?
And they turn on Edge. And now Finn is a part of Judgment Day. So it is Finn, Rhea, and Damien. And I am so happy with the way that this is going.
The combination of this is... You couldn't get any better.
I'm telling you, heel Finn is the best Finn.
Truth.
It really is.
Like only other is white geared Finn.
White gear Finn. Yes.
White gear Finn.
That's just because we're big fans of the white gear.
Damian Priest also looked good in white gear too.
That's true. But I feel he's really good at playing heel because when he came back to NXT, he was a heel the entire time.
It was great.
And it was great. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. And I think it's something that is very original. It's very unexpected. And I think it's what WWE needs.
A breath of fresh air.
Well, and especially on Raw.
Yeah.
Like they need something to get people to watch, right? So, I mean, I gave this 4 Regals.
That's fair.
Like it was fun. It was a lot more fun than I expected.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to see my husband thriving finally.
He's doing good.
And
I'm interested to see where Edge fits in now, but I'm sure
I think he's okay to go away for a while.
Take a break.
Yeah, because
and Beth need to go chill with the kids.
I think he's one of those people that it's fine if we don't see him, every week.
Yeah.
And I think he got this group started, and I think he's at a place in his career now that he can do stuff like that and then go away, and then when he comes back, he'll get another big pop and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my theory. I don't know. It may turn into a feud, or they're just going to write him off and then he won't be back for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this one goes.
Some think that he might step in to fill in for Roman. I don't think so.
I don't like that, because then you'll have 2 part-timers.
Well,
as champions.
That is one of their favorite things.
I know, but you have so many active people on your roster.
Exactly.
Like, you can't pick one of those people to be a defending champion.
Look around you.
Yeah.
There are so many other options.
Exactly. So our next match is the only SmackDown match on the card.
Oh.
Which I did not realize that till that was pointed out to me on another show that I was listening to.
That's so interesting.
So every single match on this card, except for this one that we're about to talk about, was from Raw. Which is interesting because, like, SmackDown has most of the titles. Right? So it'll be interesting.
Interesante.
So we have Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin in a no-holds-bar match. Which, the rules for no-holds bar are always kind of funny to me, because basically the only stipulations are there's no countouts and there's no DQs. So the only way that you can win is by pinfall or submission.
Which isn't that a...
So
it's just a half of a match.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems weird. It seems like you're just trying too hard to put a stipulation on something when you could just say, like, a street fight.
Yeah.
When that's basically the same thing as a no holds bar, right? Like, it's...
Yes.
Because you can use weapons. In a no holds bar, you can use everything you want, just like in a street fight. It's just
not in the street.
It doesn't sound as cool as street fight, though.
Street fight.
Right? Like, it just sounds
like
cooler.
someone should be screaming it.
Right.
Street fight.
I mean, what did you think about this one?
I zoned out a lot of this one.
That's fair.
I mean, to be fair, that was probably mixed with a lot of other things, but just with my mental state at that time of just sickness. But I mean, yeah, I'm not as into Madcap as I know, like, some people are.
Well, I was into him when he was Riddick Moss, not when he's Madcap Moss.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it is so strange to hear grown men on commentary call a match where the 2 guys are named Happy and Madcap. Okay, it's just really difficult for me to take it seriously. It's like, are we watching Disney characters wrestle? Like, are we watching the dwarves from Snow White wrestle? Is what it feels like to me. Like, it makes me immediately not take this seriously, because all throughout the match they were interchanging their names. So at one point they were saying Happy and Moss.
Yeah, and then they said Madcap.
Corbin and Madcap and Baron, and I'm like, they're throwing out all of these different names. I'm like, if you don't know who these guys are and you don't know what their relationship is, like, because a lot of people don't watch the shows, they just buy the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, you're like, okay, so who are these guys?
How much you want to bet Vince was in the back watching this match, and he got himself confused after hearing how many names were going back and forth, and how much you want to bet they come out with just one name next week?
Well, that's kind of the running joke right now. Is that
but there were so many names last night. Watch that old man actually get confused and be like, wait, you're Corbin. Yeah, Corbin. Yeah, we don't need the Happy anymore.
Yeah, because it's stupid. Like, hearing someone say, like, oh, Happy goes for the pin. I'm like, no, that sounds dumb.
It sounds like you're like the names you get automatically on, like, Wii. Like Wii games, like,
exactly.
Happy, and then, like, Jazzy and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just, it was a good match because I think both of these guys are really good. Like, Baron Corbin
he can work.
He is really good in the ring. Riddick Moss is a really good wrestler, right? But when you give such heavy characters, which I think is what's been our issue with NXT lately, right? Is like, when all you have is the character and you let the wrestling go to the wayside, it's not entertaining. I'm just watching a show. I'm not watching a wrestling
Like,
show.
that's why we enjoyed Cameron Grimes so much, is that it was both.
Yeah. Like, you had that equal balance of this character is so silly and it is so over the top, but like, dude, he can wrestle.
And that's the thing. It's like, this was a prime example of a match where they could combine both. So clearly Madcap was supposed to be like going a little bit more harder because he didn't have his suspenders. He didn't have the right colors, you know? So he was wearing all black. Looked like he got a nice spray tan. So
Sure.
MJF should take some notes. Well, if he can take notes anymore. But you know what I mean? Like, even if his character wasn't as goofy as everything else or making jokes or whatnot, he could still use that newfound like anger and frustration at Corbin or whatever to then do some different moves. But I don't know. It's just, I was not thrilled at all by this, but I had no connection to it. I didn't give two rats' asses about this.
You also didn't have a connection to the Kevin Owens Ezekiel match, but you enjoyed
I watched that
one.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Yes.
Right? Is you have a match like that one where it's silly and absurd, but the wrestling just shines through and they pepper in some of the jokes throughout. This was joke forward with a little bit of wrestling peppered in, right?
Like,
so the spots that we did see were really good. So like the finish on this.
Yes. The finish, I'll give it that. Yes.
You had Corbin, because the whole thing that has been leading up to this is Baron Corbin put Moss's head into a chair and took the Andre the Giant trophy, because Moss won that Battle Royal, took the trophy and just hit the chair with his head in it. Yeah. And I mean, brutal spot.
That's
like,
nasty.
Really good spot. So basically, Moss has been trying to get revenge by using the stairs instead of the trophy, right?
And he was stopped by all the refs.
So that's what made this match become a thing, right? So in the match, he could do that. So Corbin sets up the stairs in the corner and it tries to put Moss through it, but then he reverses it, does a fall away slam into the stairs, throws Corbin into it, and then sets him up for the chair spot and just bam, puts his head in there and just bashes it in.
Finally gets it.
And then covers him with his head still in the chair.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
like
so
that is cohesive.
It can happen.
Works.
Right. Like stuff like that can work and you don't have to have so much silliness in it. Like a little bit is fun, but at least they did end it with the continuity.
Yes.
And so I'm hoping that this can be the end of it.
And that he can move on and find other...
They can both move on.
Yeah, fair.
To different feuds, because...
New horizons.
Corbin needs something too. Like, he needs to drop the happy.
Yes.
Like, it was fun at first, but I think...
Like, the sad was funny. I actually liked the sad more.
Oh, gosh, with the beans on his shirt.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Like, that was good.
That was better than the happy, in my opinion. So, I mean, I gave it a 3.5 because I feel like it was still good when it had those good continuity wrestling moments.
Yeah.
But overall, it just wasn't, you know, again, you follow another match that was really, really good, high energy. Yeah. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
But
I would have given it a 3, but yeah.
So next we have the U.S. Championship match because, yay, now we have mid-card titles on a pay-per-view again.
Wow, what a concept.
I was very happy to see this.
Wow.
Because you had Theory, which he's not Austin Theory anymore. He's just Theory.
I can't.
Theory is the U.S.
The theory
champion.
is it's stupid.
Exactly. So he's the U.S. champion, and he was up against Mustafa Ali, which he has a really interesting story right now.
Yes.
Because there was a moment where he was asking for his release.
Publicly, openly, on all formats of public and social media.
Like went on Twitter and was like, I am formally asking for my release.
Like, please let me go. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. And of course, Vince took that as a challenge because he's like, no, you don't get to leave when you want to. Like, I'm supposed to fire you and you're not supposed to like it and you're supposed to be sad about it.
Exactly.
That was a pretty good Vince voice.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, sick voice got it.
But he he was doing the whole retribution thing, which
I wish they'd done more with it.
I wish it wouldn't have flopped, because I think
It shouldn't have.
with given the right motivation and the right direction with it, I think it really could have been good.
Absolutely.
And would have been really good for his career too. Because
could've
he is a good
skyrocketed.
leader.
Yes.
Like, he is a good ring general, and he is really good in the ring.
Yes.
But now he went, it was radio silence for a while, and there was like a Free Ali movement that went around on Twitter.
I was there
like,
for it.
It was a whole thing. And then now all of a sudden he just showed back up, and he was his face character.
As if nothing had happened.
He was still Mustafa, which I'm glad they still kept that.
Yeah, got his name back.
But now he's just Mustafa Ali, right? Like, there isn't any stipulation on him, and he's just face again.
You know what I'd like to see?
What?
Cedric and Mustafa go.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Two true cruiserweights. Like,
Yes.
Absolutely.
that would make sense.
Because with this
We'll write the
one,
story for it. We'll
was
figure it out.
still really good. Like,
Yes.
I did enjoy this match. I feel like it didn't ebb and flow as well as I would have liked.
I mean, have they ever worked together in another setting before this?
I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure they've trained together, like, backstage and stuff like that.
Well, I mean,
but-
I'm sure they probably worked in another promotion together, because
Yeah.
they all have.
yeah.
But I don't know. I don't ever remember them having a match or working together in WWE until this point.
Yeah, that's what my question was because, like, they work together well, but that's because they're professional.
Yeah,
Austin is also another example of how to combine a character with wrestling and have it work, and to incorporate both at the same time in order to work. He takes selfies of himself while he's being stupid, but when it comes to bat, he can still wrestle really well,
I can agree with that. I think he has improved a lot.
tremendously.
So,
and I think that's just because of Johnny.
I agree. And
Johnny was a literal dad for
going
him.
back to NXT was probably the best thing that ever happened for him, because
Absolutely.
I mean, he just improved, leaps
Tenfold.
and bounds from like what he was.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do like this selfish kind of character, because I do think it goes well.
Selfish and ditzy.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's more of the selfish part than the ditzy. I think
Yeah.
they've kind of toned that down a little bit,
That's
which
good.
that was kind of the part I enjoyed.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just something that's missing with him for me. And I don't know if it's because they're touting him as
Vince's
Vince's golden boy right now. And I feel like that's just like an aversion for me. Like, I just, immediately say, no, thank you, not for me. But I feel like this still was really, I don't want to say really good. It was okay.
Yeah.
Because Ali is from Chicago, and the pop that he got was amazing,
Yeah.
and they were able to really play off of that. But I think by the end of it, it waned.
Yeah.
And
it was like they were
the
almost
crowd was-
tired,
yeah.
and the crowd was done. And
Yeah, they weren't into it by the end of the match, which I
Yeah.
think was sad. When Ali goes for the finish, like, he goes to do his 450 splash and he misses it.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of the wind kind of got taken out of it, because I think everyone kind of knew, like, well, man,
like, oh shit.
like, of course we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Like, of course Vince is not going to let our hometown guy win a title in his hometown.
Yeah, never, no.
That's kind of the running joke, or one of the running jokes, right?
Yeah.
Is
that, or if you have it, then you lose it when you're hometown and get it,
Yeah.
and it goes to someone else.
which that's so vindictive.
That's mean,
Right?
Like,
Like-
somebody's got a tiny pee-pee.
Well, we knew this already. So
Got a complex.
he misses the 450, and Austin goes
It's
for the
Austin.
chop block to the leg, which they had been playing the injured knee up, which
Yes.
that was pretty good.
He did well with that. Yes.
And then hits. The name of his finisher is so dumb. It's called the A-Town Down. That's his finisher name. And I get it. I get the joke. I know what it's supposed to be. But it's, I don't know.
I didn't know that.
It's called the A-Town Down. And it's literally just like a modified GTS, really. Like,
Town down.
like it's the Usher part in in that song, yeah. Like the A-Town Down part. And I'm just like, no, you're too white for that.
You're
like
too
you are
young for that also.
Still young. You're too young and you're too white for that. Like you just can't, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. It made me giggle.
Oh my gosh, my stomach.
I gave this one another 3.5. Like it was, I feel like the mid-card ones were just kind of, middle of the road.
Out of all of the other ones that I think are 3s, like I would be fine giving this a 3.5.
Which I guess it makes sense because when you have an opener like you did and a closer like you did, like it makes sense to put these matches kind of sandwiched in the middle.
Yeah.
Because it's always how you leave them, right? But yeah, so that was our semi-main.
Yeah.
Which was kind of strange to me.
Very interesting selection.
I feel like...
Sounds like Vince had a say in that one.
I feel like the women's triple threat and the U.S. title should have been switched.
Absolutely, 110%.
I don't think the show would have suffered from that.
Not at all.
Because if you had put the U.S. title match first, I think I maybe would have rated it a little bit higher because it was the first match. Still was a really good match.
Yeah.
But to me, it didn't deserve the semi-main spot. Like, the way that they structured this pay-per-view was a little strange to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst out of all that we've seen, but it definitely was just like, it was like an eyebrow raise, kind of like, interesting.
Well, because then when we get to the Hell in a Cell match, I'm like, oh, wow.
Holy shit, we're already there?
Also, this show was only 3 hours.
Wow, what a concept.
Like, which, listeners, Gina and I watched Double or Nothing.
Good Lord.
Live.
Oh
we
my
made the
gosh.
mistake of watching it live.
Well, because all of the other examples we've had were not 6 freaking hours long.
No, they've all been 6 hours. It's just we have always watched it with our crew and not by ourselves.
That's fair.
And we've actually also watched it not live the past couple of times.
And we started it at a different time. That's
right. So
like
that's
way
the
ahead
difference.
there it is. That's fair.
They started
8.
The live broadcast started at 8.
8 p.m.
We did not go to bed until 1:45. It was a late night.
It was a good.
My dog was really tired.
Pete was exhausted.
I had to carry him to bed.
Neff dog.
So anyway, this show was in itself was only 3 hours, so it was a very nice reprieve from the 18-hour broadcast that we watched before. So now we're in our main event, which was the only Hell in a Cell match of the whole pay-per-view, which I enjoyed because I feel like you should only have one, and it should be your main event.
Yes.
Like, you shouldn't have a women's and a men's. You should have one or the other.
Yes.
Right? And because I feel like when you do the first one, the second one kind of loses its luster.
Yes.
Right? So when you have, like, the title match be the Hell in a Cell or the Money in the Bank or whatever, I don't know. It just kind of makes it have more oomph to it. Right?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, I was going to say like an example of something that, but I can't remember where it came from, and I'm sure you'll know. But there was a podcast or something that we listened to a long time ago where they talked about it. I think it was Corey Graves. Mm-hmm. I think it was his, like, where they were saying, I think it was him and, I can't remember, but they were talking about how they wish Hell in a Cell, like those, would go back to that formatting.
Yeah. So basically it was the After the Bell podcast.
So it was Corey Graves.
Yes. Yeah. So they were talking about how WWE went through a phase about a year or so ago where we were seeing Hell in a Cell matches on a random Raw.
Exactly.
Right. So they were saying that we needed to get back to
just it being on the pay-per-view.
Yes, because it's losing its luster. Right.
Because on a normal Thursday night or that's not even a night for WWE wrestling. Like, that'll be a Hell in a Cell match.
Right. And I think with this one, because you had Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, which this was the third installment in their feud, because Cody came back at WrestleMania, then they had a match at Backlash, and then this was supposed to be the feud ender.
Ooh,
and
this match.
That's what I wrote at the top of my notes.
Woof.
This match. Right? Because I have been a little on Cody since he's returned.
Yeah.
Because he talked such a big game
Did.
when he was in AEW and about starting AEW, and to the point where they created a replica of Triple H's throne, and he took a sledgehammer and destroyed it.
I mean,
on air.
that Charlotte promo that he had the first time they were in Charlotte is going to be ingrained in my mind. It's one of the best promos of all time.
Do you remember what it was?
What it was?
Like, what'd he say?
Verbatim, I can't, but it essentially was him like coming out like the first time ever where like WWE was fully mentioned and being like,
right.
Like that was like the first one where he came out and he like had his full long like
Said the word WWE.
Yeah, and it like I'm sure Robert's like I know it verbatim.
Well, I don't want you to say it verbatim.
No. But it was one of those ones where you sat there and you were like, holy shit, this could work.
Right. And
like, whoa.
And that's what I liked.
Yeah.
Right. And then the moment he started getting booed, and it didn't
And he
go.
didn't
it
turn
started,
heel.
Right. It didn't go the way he wanted to. He jumped ship, and I was just like, okay, well, fuck you. You know, like you built up all this, right, and then you're just gonna walk away for more money. That was before I saw this match.
Yes.
Because this match changed my opinion. Because
yeah.
I mean, just listeners, there was at the beginning of this pay-per-view, commentary had made the announcement that Cody Rhodes was injured and had been injured by Seth Rollins during a brawl that they had, right? And
Understatement of the effing year.
well, I mean, now we know that, but when we were watching it, I was like, oh, okay. You know, like
You were so mean.
I was, and I take it back. Cody Rhodes, I know you're definitely listening to this.
I know, Cody. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I apologize, but I did scoff at you because they do that shit all the time. You know, they're like, oh, he's injured. How will he survive? You know, like, how will they coexist?
Oh,
you know,
no.
like that's a theme that they do.
It's fair.
Right?
That's true.
And especially since they did it at the beginning of the pay-per-view, I'm like, okay, he's going to come out and he's going to have some tape on him and, you know,
He's going to have his arm in a sling and then he's going to take it out and be like, oh, I'm not injured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't take
but-
it seriously, really. Then about midway through the pay-per-view, they're like, so we have an update. And what actually happened was his pectoral muscle got injured to the point where it was ripped clean off the bone. And I'm like, oh,
That's different.
that's extremely specific, right? Like, this isn't just an arm injury
No.
or an ankle. Like, this is, no.
This was like when you found out that Finn was injured with his ankle and you knew exactly which one and the tendies and the...
That's just because I'm an obsessive wrestling wife.
But as soon
yes.
as they announced that he was, like, you immediately were like, oh, no, not his ankle.
Yes.
Or, oh, no, not his neck. Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
you knew. Like,
Right.
And, like, as soon as somebody announces a very specific injury, it's like, oh, shit, that's real.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, I mean, that's really specific, but I mean, it's still probably not that big of a deal. And then he comes out, and first Seth comes out in the Dusty Rhodes black with yellow polka dots. And
what a sneaky bitch.
God, I love that man so much. I really feel like he is becoming one of my all-time favorite wrestlers.
He's so good.
So good. And he's having so much fun, and you can tell.
Yes.
So, I mean, Dusty Rhodes, there were so many homages to Dusty during this entire match, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, so coming out in the polka dots.
Well, he had the ridiculous coat on first, which was very Seth Rollins, and then he revealed that, you know, beautiful Dusty outfit. But
I loved them like going to the crowd, and you see the people who have no idea what this means.
Yeah.
And then you see the random
Yeah.
Mark that's just pointing, going,
like, oh, holy shit, that's awesome.
right? Like, it's that's the tiny detail shit.
I
that
was
really
the one
love.
who did not understand, and then Doggz explained, and I was like, that's hilariously vindictive. And
Yeah, it's
that's
because he's
awesome.
like, I'm gonna get in your head. I'm gonna dress like your dad, so you can't fight me, right?
Yeah, because that really worked.
Sure. It's very spotty heel logic, right? And then Cody comes out, does his really cool entrance, because he
has
does
his
have a great
tech.
entrance.
I know a lot of people shat on that cape.
What, the Homelander
love
cape?
That cape. I love the coat. I don't give a shit. You look dope. Cody, keep it. I love it.
Oh, I still love it. It's just he looks like Homelander, who is very problematic. If you
That is true.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, from
The Boys.
Yes.
Which, I
That's true.
mean,
he reminds me a lot of the if any of you guys play video games out there, the BioShock Infinite characters. He looks a lot like those.
yeah.
Those George Washington statues that shoot
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
Right? Like, they look cool.
Yeah.
But anywho.
So he comes out and you can kind of tell he's not really moving his left arm that much.
At all.
Right?
Like, maybe to adjust it.
But he's still coming out like high intensity,
Yes.
like still kind of. So I'm still speculating, right? In my head, I'm like, okay, he's really working this left arm thing, you know? Then he gets in the ring and they announce Seth, right? And he does his whole heel thing. And then they announce Cody. Cody slowly takes his ring jacket off.
Only one arm moving to take off, like, he's shimmying his shoulder.
Yes.
Like, it's not like he's taking it off with both arms.
It is showing the biggest bruise I have ever seen in my life.
It is
Starting from his like shoulder.
like the socket.
Yeah, going all the way over the shoulder, down the arm, and across his chest.
I mean, like, it's and it's not like a bruise like, oh, like this is healed for a couple days, there's some yellow spots. No, it's purple.
yeah.
It is like midnight purple.
The reveal of his injury was, this is going to sound really strange. It's one of the best things I've ever seen.
No, I get
Because
you. I know what you mean.
That moment
Yes.
when I mean, listeners, I wish you could have been in the room
Like,
with all of
the
us.
air went
Like all of us. It was just a collective.
like it was
Like-
and the
Yeah.
funny thing was like we knew that there was makeup on it to try to make it not even look that bad.
Right. Like that you could
It
tell they
was
had toned it down.
Awful.
Like, listeners, if you haven't seen it, just stop.
Google it.
Stop what you're doing right now.
Pause it
Go Google it.
and just Google image that, cry about it, and then come back and listen to the rest of this.
Like it was
Or maybe throw up in a trash can, like whatever you need to do.
the entire match.
Oh my god.
I sat curled up in a ball
We sat together, curled
on
up
the
in balls,
couch with my eyes half open. Right.
like looking through our fingers,
Like, every time anything would graze his arm, I would just wince.
he moved his
out of
arm, and I'd
sympathy,
be like,
right? And this kind of made me think, because I went back and watched it after the initial shock kind of wore off, that
Yeah.
this man is still performing start to finish with that injury. And it's different when you have someone like Triple H who got that injury during a match, didn't stop, and kept going,
that
right?
match was also batshit.
Right.
Oh.
But that's one thing.
Yes.
Right?
Like,
Because
you've got to
that
go
can-
home at that point.
That can be the whole like theater motto of like the show must go on. Like
Yes.
I gotta keep going. I can't stop because I'm in the middle of a pay-per-view match. But it's different when you have someone who knowingly has that injury and
Like, days in advance.
still goes into the match and does it from start to finish
Yes.
with the caliber that they did.
Yes.
Like, because it was a damn good match.
And I said this earlier when we were watching. If anyone was in the ring with him, it was a damned good thing that it was Seth.
Absolutely.
Because if it was anyone else, I don't think it would have worked. Yes, David.
I think I was the only one. I don't think I really was the only one in the room who was not affected by this bruise at all. While the rest of it, you were freaking out. I was like, "Huh, that looks painful."
Back to your game.
Well, because all I could think about was when I first started watching wrestling with Doggz several years ago. He showed me the infamous Mick Foley Hell in a Cell, in which
That is also a fair assessment.
Foley loses a tooth and it comes out of his nostril.
Yeah.
That is also a fair assessment.
That's on the same caliber, though, in my opinion, because he also knew what he was getting into, right? Like
Right.
He's a little bit of a glutton for pain.
Foley's great, but he was a glutton for punishment, right? So like same as Cody now, I guess, right? Because
Yeah.
there's no way that did not like he was not in agonizing pain the entire match.
Just walking, breathing.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that taking it back to AEW with Cody, the time, I can't remember who the hell it was he was wrestling, but this image is ingrained.
Oh, wait,
into
I think
my
I know where
memory,
you're going with this.
Where he jumped over the top rope and went for a splash, and whoever it was moved.
Yeah.
So he dove forehead first into the corrugated steel
He still
ramp.
has that scar. He'll
Yeah.
have it for forever now.
Yeah.
So,
To be fair,
Yeah.
he didn't plan that one.
Well,
But
oh, true. Yeah, but he still, we knew he was a glutton for
Yeah, no,
punishment.
that was
he still
yeah.
took that spot though.
Yeah.
There's always that risk when you do a move like that.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, someone can
ramp-
move an inch and you're done.
That
right?
ramp has been more pain than it has been for
It's
anything
true.
else for them.
Well, and I feel like this question came to my mind when I was watching it another time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do we feel about him wrestling with such a bad injury? Like, does it make the match better, or does it make you just concerned for him the entire time?
See, I thought this exact same thing later as we were driving home watching, because did we enjoy that match because of what they were able to do within the circumstances, or because it was a good match? And so that's what my question was, because yes, it's awesome when the stakes are so high. As actors, we understand how important it is that your stakes have to be here at all times. The thing that bothers me a little bit is that, we know from BFA majors, like, there was a lot of shit that we did where it's like, we should have been home. We shouldn't have done that.
Oh, I have an ankle that never healed properly and
Yeah.
will give out on me randomly because I did an entire run of a show with a pulled Achilles
Like,
tendon.
where's the limit? Where's
Yeah.
the line?
Exactly.
I did 2 weeks of performances where I was popping 4 ibuprofen before the show started and 4 during intermission to get through it with a knee injury.
Yeah.
There was a show, and we weren't in it, or I was not in it, but we did Assassins at my college, and that was a cursed show. One person fell in the pit and almost broke their leg.
Yeah.
Another person shattered their actual ankle because they ran and kicked the light. And then the entire cast had walking tuberculosis.
Jesus.
Sorry, not tuberculosis, pneumonia.
I was
I was going to say,
Sorry.
what year was
Walking
this show?
pneumonia.
How long ago were you in college?
Well, in 1850,
But I 100
Walking pneumonia.
I 100% agree with you because I've wondered since Sunday night.
Exactly. Like,
It's admirable to me that the show did go on, and it's admirable how much Cody put into that match. I think we've definitely seen much better matches. Like, a lot
Yes.
of the praise that this match is getting comes from, in my opinion, the circumstances.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, and I mean,
And Seth being able to cover.
for me, I'm split.
Yeah.
Right? Because being someone who has had to fight through an injury, multiple injuries through multiple shows,
Yeah.
right? I've had to do that. It's not fun, and
No.
your body hurts, and you don't fully recover from it.
Yeah.
But I feel like it gave this match more of intention, and it gave it more of a story than it would have otherwise.
That is
And
true.
That, I hate to say that, but I think it made it a little bit better, because when you
Yes.
had, this was the
I can see that.
third match of them, and they were probably going to do the same thing that they did at Backlash. Let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real.
Right? Because we are in the age of let's just recycle shit, because we have memories of goldfish, right? And we don't remember anything.
Yeah, your audience is stupid, so therefore don't put forth like too much effort.
Right. And I feel like his injury, and making the whole match about his injury, and seeing, having the stakes of, is he going to make it worse? Is he going to end his career because of this match? Is it
Yeah.
worth it for him to end his career with this match? It gave people more shit to talk about
Yes.
than they would have otherwise. And that's the only reason why I say it's slightly better than it could have been, because of the injury.
I know that with this match, like, yeah, we were interested in watching it, but I definitely agree with you that this added a whole other level. I mean, it's the same kind of mentality of That's been a tale as old as time, where people go to public, like from, centuries ago, where people went to go and see public hangings, public floggings. Like, you look at something you're not supposed to. Even driving past a car wreck nowadays, where it's like you shouldn't look, but you do. Yeah. Like, it's the
entire
gruesome
sport of NASCAR.
Yeah, if it essentially. Yeah.
Absolutely, because people get upset when there are no crashes, right?
Yeah, let's think about that one there.
So I agree.
Yes.
Right? But I think as a whole, this match was still really good.
Yes.
Because you had moments where they had the kendo stick spots. They had, the bull rope that came out.
That was cool.
And because that was another homage to Dusty,
Yes.
because that was a classic
And he hit him
match
in the head
that
with
he
the
would
bell.
do. He sold that like a champ.
was great.
Right? He just down, right? Like, just completely like he had been knocked out by being hit with a cowbell.
The only prescription is more cowbell.
Exactly. And then they had the sledgehammer spot.
Yes.
Right? Which
How did he pick that up? And then he faked picking it up the first time, and then he picked it up again, and we were like, ah!
See, that's what I mean. It gave it more stakes. If he would have just taken the sledgehammer out with his normal arm, and yeah, he could feign being fatigued because the match was difficult, but seeing him with his purplish, blackish blue left side trying to lift a sledgehammer.
And it was changing color, too, while we were watching.
Right.
It was so gross.
So,
yes.
So I feel like there was a slight AEW reference. There was a slight Triple H reference with the pedigree.
Yeah.
Which it made me so pissed that he actually hit the pedigree, because him and Triple H have, like it's... So it made me feel things, right? And that's what you want.
It was good ring psychology.
Absolutely.
It was.
And I feel
good
like
storytelling.
he's getting to do the stuff that he wanted to do in AEW now, because he was starting to do that and it didn't work.
Yeah.
They were booing him, right? And I don't feel like he's doing anything different.
Yeah.
It's just under the WWE umbrella where we can't bleed as often as he wants to.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only difference.
Hey guys, I got some razor blades. You need them? No, we're good,
we're
man.
Okay.
Thanks.
Like, keep your razor blades backstage, please. Like,
yeah. Like,
yeah. So
hepatitis.
I think overall it's still a good match to watch, but it is cringy at times.
Yes.
But I still enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely. It was.
I mean,
a solid 4.5.
Yeah. I mean, the finish was, Cody hits Seth with the sledgehammer and he goes over. Like, it was very simple finish. And I mean, I do think this match redeemed at least Seth's track record with these matches, because God, has he had some terrible Hell in a Cell matches lately.
Yes, this
right?
saved
Like this,
him.
And I'm happy for him for that, because I feel like he desperately needed that.
Yes.
Right. So
I mean, he had some hurdles to come over from that the match.
And I mean, I gave this a 4.5.
Yeah,
just because
easily.
It was. I teetered on giving it a 5, but then when I entered, the question entered the chat, right?
Yeah,
where you say, did this really need to happen?
Yeah,
it kind of makes you question it a little bit.
Yeah. Like, one last little thing about that. Like, clearly, like from your example, David, about Mick Foley, just because it was done back then, does that mean it needs to continue now?
Right.
And I can clearly see that it's not as strong as like the bullshit chaos used to be. And albeit, yes, like we, enjoyed those matches, but I mean, Mick Foley, like, it's clearly and truly and honestly a miracle that man does not have Parkinson's, did not have seizures, did not have these incredible, horrific medical issues later in his life because of what he did. I mean, I've discussed this about Darby Allin. Like, Darby Allin is not going to have a long career.
Darby Allin's not going to make it to 40.
No.
Okay.
At all.
Like,
but
do we remember earlier this year when Johnny Knoxville was allowed to wrestle with a concussion?
You're right.
That because he was not cleared by medical, and yet he got out there and
because they didn't,
because it's WrestleMania, bitch.
Yeah.
We got 2 nights to fill.
Oh yeah, clearly we needed that so badly. Because I forgot you even said that until you just said that.
Yeah.
Or I forgot that happened until you just said that. Damn it, words are hard, y'all. I was
gonna let it go.
Thanks.
But yeah.
I'm going to just sip this wine here real quick.
I mean, overall, for this whole pay-per-view, I gave this a 4.
Very fair 4.
Because, 1, that's how my average came out. And 2,
Math.
I mean, I think it's one of the better pay-per-views they've had this year.
In a long time.
And this brings me back to the point that I brought up at the beginning of the show.
Okay.
I think not having Roman really helped this show because it let other people shine, right? And when you have someone that takes so much focus, you forget how good everybody else is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so you remember how great of a roster they have when the focus isn't just on one person on your roster.
Yeah.
And I really hope that they continue to put Roman on this schedule because, 1, he deserves it because he's been traveling for ages and is a cancer survivor and a father and husband and should probably deserve some time off.
Paul Heyman alone deserves a damn break.
Oh,
Poor
absolutely.
Man. Like, give him a break.
Right, and let the other people who bust their ass for you on a daily basis have a chance to show you, like, why you put them there in the first place.
Absolutely.
You know? So, I mean, I think overall, it was good. Like,
Yes.
it was a really fun show, and I enjoyed myself.
Yes. Well, good. I'm glad you did. I fully expected not trash, not like, but Hell in a Cell especially is like jaded for me now.
Oh, absolutely.
So I was very cautious.
When you have like 2 or so years in a row
Of
when the
just
Hell in a Cell
trash.
outcome is a no contest finish.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you're kind of jaded, and it's okay to be jaded from that.
Yeah. So I came in with like, and then I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Your went from
To
I feel like the key to enjoying most WWE pay-per-views is to go in with 0 expectations and a low bar, because this was the first one I've seen in a long. This is 2 weekends of wrestling pay-per-views that I actually enjoyed. What is happening?
What? Yeah. Are you okay, David? You just said
Blink
you
twice
enjoyed
if you're in
something.
danger. Blink twice.
Well, I'm used to, for the most part, enjoying AEW.
Sure.
I cannot tell you when the last time was, or if I have ever enjoyed a WWE pay-per-view.
Suck it, dogs. We get to cover the fun one.
I know. So let's move on to our segments because we're going to keep our segments.
Absolutely.
Because this is still our show.
Yeah.
And we're still taking over.
We're taking over.
So who is your ignorant slut for Hell in a Cell 2022?
Well, I'm upset because I was going to give it to the OG, but apparently the OG didn't say it and didn't say it wrong.
I said you could still do that.
I think just for spite reasons only that I am going to give it to
He can always
Corey Graves,
be an honorable
the
mention.
ignorant slut.
Like a constant honorable mention.
Yes. But, I mean, overall, I mean, I think just... It's not a person, and I know I keep doing the metaphorical, like it's not like I'm not giving it to something, but the placement of these matches sometimes were off.
Yeah,
like if I could
agree
have
with that.
any criticism for this one, it would be like placement was weird in some. So
I can agree with
that
that.
would be my honorable mention of ignorant slut, but the OG Corey Graves, ignorant slut, cannot say the word coup de grace. He says coup de grace.
Good for you.
Stupid bitch. Shelby, who is your ignorant slut?
Well,
Or what?
it's almost.
That's fair.
I
assumed
this
as
may
much.
be personal, but I can't get behind him, and he's still not on the caliber that I feel like he should be with the
No.
amount of time that he has had to get better.
Yeah, he's been here so long.
Right, and there weren't a lot of people who had missteps on this show because overall this show was pretty solid.
The Cedric part, just not being able to even flip him over is pretty sad.
That's what I mean.
That's pretty rough.
right. Like so, to me, he definitely was the lowest one on the card for
That's
me.
fair.
Well, who's your EST?
It's a triple
Oh, okay.
tie. I have to give it to Bianca, Becky, and Asuka.
Nice.
I can't give it to one of them as much as I love Bianca. You know I do. But truly, the conglomeration of the 3 of them together truly working breathtakingly well. And that's my favorite match of the whole night. And it was the first one. So they are my EST.
Yeah, no.
Greatest, fastest, best communicator est. Yes, they are greatest. So especially just seeing Asuka back, seeing Becky back, and the dynamic they all had together, it was great. It was perfect. They are my ESTs.
Well deserved, because that match,
I couldn't pick one.
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been the match that it was if all three of them weren't in it together.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
if it was a 2 match, like just Becky and Asuka, or if it was just, Asuka and Bianca, like, yeah, it would have been good, but something about all 3 of them together, it was magic.
Yeah.
Just magic.
Agreed.
And you, my dear?
So mine's a tie as well.
Yes.
I have to give it to Cody and Seth.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, for Cody, for working through something and being willing to work through something.
Yeah.
And this is no shade whatsoever to any wrestler who is injured and decides to bow out,
Yeah, I mean,
but,
it's for it's based on what you feel.
right. But to know that you have a main event and to know that this is going to hurt the entire time that you're going to do this, and you still put forth that much effort and make it such a great match. I mean, that has to be rewarded. And I mean, everyone knows that my EST, like a qualifier to be my EST is that
They
you
want to die.
you have to want to die. And I mean,
I didn't think about that. You're so right.
yeah, I have a type.
You
I
do.
have a type.
You do.
And I mean, and for Seth, for protecting him, honestly, because like you said, I agree with you
And
that,
selling that beautiful cowbell spot.
oh yeah, but like protecting him to the point where it still looks brutal, but you know that he is working with him and he's honestly the best person to do that.
Absolutely. That's fair. That's completely fair.
Well, yay.
Yay!
We did our first one.
Oh, fabulous timing too.
I'm excited. I'm excited that we're going to get to do this.
Yes.
I mean, I'm excited that we're going to be able to be on this channel more.
Yes, and get to talk more and watch more.
Get to talk about stuff that we haven't really gotten to talk about.
Yeah,
really.
come back with fresh eyes.
So it'll be fun. So I hope you guys enjoy our take on it.
Yay. Thank you for listening.
Doggz and Chris will be back in your feed, but we will also be doing Forbidden Door.
I'm so
Which
excited.
we're very excited about that. I'm very excited that we get to cover Japanese wrestling because that's something that I've been wanting to watch for such a long time, and it's so hard to access that here in the States. It is almost impossible for you to watch New Japan over here in the States, and
especially with just our wrestling scheduling alone.
well, there's not enough hours in the day.
There's not.
There's not enough days in the week, let alone hours in the day, to watch
Everything we want
to.
We can't.
But I'm excited. I know you're excited.
My husband's coming back, y'all. I'm putting it into the universe.
You've been manifesting this for months.
We'll do it.
Cesaro will come back, babe.
My love.
He will come back for you, and it'll be a great reunion, and it'll be fine. You won't cry or anything.
Oh, not at
It'll be
all.
great. So, David, besides
Yes.
Forbidden Door, what else do we have coming up?
Well, next week we're going to be releasing episode 3 of This Is a Rewind, which has been in the can for a couple of weeks now, but I'm spreading them out on our quiet weeks. And then the week after that, I might fuck around and release 2 episodes next week. I don't know. It'll depend on everyone's schedules.
I guess we'll just have to find out.
But coming up next on Long Walk Talks, we're going to be continuing our Perfect Tens discussion with Chris Barnes' next film, which is going to be Wreck-It Ralph.
Are you serious?
Yes, Wreck-It Ralph is one of Chris's Perfect 10 films.
I freaking love that movie.
I want to watch it with him now.
Oh, Chris, you have such great taste.
I'm 100% sure that he would say yes to that.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that's going to take us through June, and there's going to be more insanity after that.
Oh, always.
Shelby, if people want to reach out to you online or follow you online, where can they do that at?
Well, if you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at SlayAllRay on Instagram. And if you want to follow This Is a Takeover on the socials, we have a new Instagram.
Yay!
We have revamped it. So now if you want to follow us, you can just type in "This Is A Takeover," all one word, and you should be able to find us.
There we are.
I think the other one is deleted, but we'll just have to double check.
I'm still trying to figure that one out, to be honest.
So if you see the one with underscores, that's not us anymore.
Nope.
It's just one word. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can still follow us there at @this_pod. And I know if you want to follow all of us here at Long Walk Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's Long Walk Podcast.
Excellent. Gina, what about you?
I only have the Instagram left, and if you want to follow me and all my pretty much wedding extravaganza news that I post. Shenanigans.
That's the way better word for it.
That's a way better word. You can follow me at Broadway_baby1218.
Very nice. And if you want to follow me online, the best place to do that is on Instagram at DBHensley. If you want to keep up with Long Walk Productions, you can visit us online at longwalk.us or search for Long Walk Productions and Long Walk Podcasts on Facebook. To see more of our original work or hear past episodes that are no longer streaming, you can follow the YouTube links in the show notes. Thank you very much for listening, and if you enjoy this show or any of the shows on the Long Walk Podcast Network, please make sure to leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening on.
Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks for listening, everyone. For This Is A Takeover, I'm Shelby Ray Patterson.
And I'm Gina Belmont.
And you don't have to be called up to the main roster. You're doing fine where you're at.